we're all tied up 1-1 here. No Tomorrow versus Team Freedom. No Tomorrow taking game number 2 in somewhat dominant fashion, but Team Freedom trying out some new tactics, some new strategies, Dreadnought, that didn't necessarily work out for them last game.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that was compositional kind of flaw whenever they committed to the tier into the offlane. I do think that there was ways to be able to adjust to that into the game itself, but it kind of suffered a little bit too much. And for me, moving forward, I just want to see Team Freedom at least rely on finding ways to get the wave clear advantage. Anytime that they're a team with the wave clear advantage, it makes it seem like those rotations are a lot more crisp, a lot more clean, and the win conditions become a lot more clear.
Well, one of the heroes you mentioned to me during the break was you'd like to see them maybe play Dahaka. Well, this next battleground is definitely a Dahaka battleground because we are going to Towers of Doom. I think we're going to Towers of Doom.
Maybe?
I promise we're going to Towers of Doom.
All right.
I snuck a peek. I snuck a peek, and it's No Tomorrow's choice. And I mentioned this previously, Dreadnought. Obviously, this is a different team than we had in Phase 1. But No Tomorrow, during Part 2 of Phase 1, the rare wins that they did pick up were on Towers of Doom. They would always go to Towers of Doom. It was where they could pick up the Ws. We're going back to Towers of Doom for them when they get the map pick.
Yeah, and I like this here. It's not like it's a wild curveball or anything by any means here from either team, but if it's No Tomorrow, getting momentum after the last game on Battlefield of Eternity, even though that was a selection of Freedom, then put it in a position to be able to go with the towers. Hopefully this is a situation where they can have a draft plan, come in and execute it here, and maybe find a way to get an upper hand in a series, because I also want to know what that looks like when Team Freedom gets their back against the wall in this type of situation, because it wasn't the we started out slow kind of justification we've gotten in the past from Freedom, like against LFM, where they were like, we suffered games 1 and 2, we figured it out. We got game 1 win, game 2, No Tomorrow's already swinging.
Well, No Tomorrow, they've struggled to pick up series wins throughout this year. It's obvious, it shows in their record. One of the series victories that they did pick up was when Team Freedom was sitting at 4-0 at the first part of this year during Phase 1. They were the team that came in and kind of upset and derailed the freight train of Team Freedom in the early part when Team Freedom was looking like the best team in North America. So No Tomorrow knows that they can beat Team Freedom. Now, focusing on the draft, Dreadnought, the Genji we saw last game, Sergeant Hammer was banned. It was Battlefield of Eternity. We can expect that not to be there, but Towers of Doom is definitely a hammer map for Team Freedom.
And if the hammer does come online, it will give a pretty big leaning advantage more often than not to whatever team ends up picking it up. But if that goes to Freedom, I think considering these teams in the matchup specifically, I feel like means a lot for teams like Freedom, as Urel is the second ban here for No Tomorrow. Snap Genji.
Yeah, not letting that one through again.
But I do want to raise that I'm not going to say that this is a situation where picking the Genji is going to set it, too far back. But this is a battleground where wave clear can matter if you lose momentum in the bottom half of the battleground. And if the Team Freedom doesn't compensate for the lack of wave clear within the first pick Genji at some point in time, I do look at that and I go, No Tomorrow has a chance, just like on Battlefield of Eternity.
Deckard's available. Murden's available.
Abathur is available. But it's not solo support Abathur. Going with the Deckard, a traditional Abathur composition. It's been a while.
It has. This has always been one of Abathur's better battlegrounds. Cursed Hollow, the old school one, but when Towers of Doom started to become implemented, we saw more focus on controlling the rotations between those chokes between the lanes. And now the healing build at level 1, very strong. But it does allow you to diversify your build. We even saw it on Tomb of the Spider Queen.
Yeah.
The slow at 7 when we expected Mule. You can control rotations, control vision with Abathur better than a lot of heroes.
Yeah, it is a really good tactic, especially if you end up committing, like talking about that level 7, end up hitting the mine, the slow opportunities. It makes it really difficult for anybody to make any transition to one of those altars available. But now that we got the Dahaka actually picked up for Team Freedom, one thing to highlight is now that we have a traditional Abathur comp, more often than not, when you have actual support, Abathur's hat can do whatever he wants. Now, he plays a very different playstyle. He doesn't actually support. He's going to be looking to make sure that the offlane is a problem. Dahaka doesn't have the best matchups to a lot of matchups here. Mix that with an Abathur hat, suddenly it's going to be very difficult in the top half here. So much so that I think Freedom is concerned about that, which is why you see the Leoric ban. A Leo Abbey hat into a matchup with Dahaka, one Drain Hope, or if that burrow's burnt, that's going to be a big trade.
So the other thing with this traditional style Dreadnought is if you go the solo laner, which you pretty much need, unless it's a Thrall here, you need a good clone target from your ranged assassin role.
Yeah.
Because you have to have a Jaina, a Greymane. We're getting a Raynor here. So a cloned Raynor doesn't necessarily speak to me that high impact kill right away. Give him some pepper, does have value.
Double Decker's not the best in the world when it comes to the supporting capabilities. I mean, 2 scroll ceilings is neat, but other than that, it's not as intimidating because he is so talent-oriented. Raynor's not a bad clone target, but not amazing either, just because Raynor's biggest problem is not his ability to do damage, it's whether or not he gets the fight he wants. Same with Abathur clone. So putting a double Raynor, you better be sure your opponent is picking that fight if you end up going with that clone. Get ourselves the double reset pickup here for Team Freedom and the Stukov lock-in. So this is very, very team fight focused, 1 shot, 1 kill for Team Freedom.
I really wondered if we would get that Kharazim again, the Earth ally, to deal with the poke potential of a Raynor. Getting that physical armor, instead the Stukov for the playmaking with the lurking arm. Still need a tank here for No Tomorrow. Do we get
Johanna?
We get the Johanna. It does give them some wave clear.
JL, this is the 2nd game in a row that I look at and I go, No Tomorrow I think has the advantage in the draft. I mean, it's not that Team Freedom has, you know, a draft that can't work, double reset, but we know what that looks like. We know the trade-offs. It's been around for a long period of time. There's a reason it's not the go-to from beginning to end, is because it's getting that one-shot capability. There's a lot of people that are really good at supporting that aren't just supports anymore, like Blaze on the other side. And the fact that they removed a body for the reset capabilities with the Abathur, have a laning mismatch with a Dahaka into a Blaze with an Abathur hat. I think this is a situation where I look at No Tomorrow and I go, you have all the tools to be able to take this game.
Because this is the traditional Abathur setup, the old school, if you will, no longer the solo support Abathur.
Yeah.
Really curious, do we get a mind build? Do we need the supporting Carapace? Even in this has generally been the level 1 pickup, but you do have the option for the bonus damage, the cooldown reduction extra charges at 4, and the slows at level 7. It wouldn't be outside of the realm of possibility if we go that route.
What if we get even more wild? We go like the Adrenal, like give you an Abathur hat. It's just an Abathur, empowered Abathur.
I love me some Adrenal. We don't see it that much nowadays, but I will never say no to an Adrenal Overlord at level 4.
Yeah, Adrenal into
Overload.
Into Needle Spine at 7 is one of my favorite builds. The trading capabilities when you get on top of Raynor, he's auto-attacking way too fast. You do way too much damage with your Q. Feels good.
Dread, I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
Buddy of mine out there, TBK, I play Abathur while he plays Twin Blades Varian.
Yeah.
I go Adrenal, and then I go the Stab at level 7.
You're that guy.
We wreck people. It's one of my favorite things to do in all of Heroes, man. I love it.
Mine's the same, but it's with Kharazim. An Adrenal Overload and Kharazim. Just play the Kharazim with that auto-attack full E-build. Oh, baby. You're punching.
Twin Blades. OP, by the way.
Laning situation. Look at this. How many reveal? So, already I want to highlight something. Notice how in this gank attempt, if you will, hold up. The clash is going to happen, but we'll talk about it in a minute here. Blind comes down. Looks like an easy retreat there. So for the laning off-lane pressure, if you want to not feign that you have an advantage, you always retreat the defensive stance. Notice how Casanova went left on that. The minute I see you move left, I go, there are many people down there. You have a huge advantage. You're showing me you're confident in a situation where you shouldn't be at the first glance. So it doesn't cost them anything here, but it's one of those small things that looking at the body language of what the opponent is doing indicates the subtlety of the mentality and confidence displayed, and sometimes can actually give you a tactical advantage. The minute you see Casanova move, you go free clear through mid.
Team Freedom could bring Dahaka down for the invade. Blaze has already made his way to the middle lane. In case there is an invade, he can add support here. But if you bring Dahaka in, No Tomorrow conceding for now, the early game lethal potential there. But Abathur can always get that miss soak. Jin's going to need some help here.
Got the hat. Good juke on that Stormbolt. Only reason he's able to survive that one. That was clutch.
That was clutch. But the contention over the camp still reigns. This is an interesting time for both teams.
I think it's Freedom, again, knowing that they have the Abathur composition, or not the Abathur, but the Dahaka, and they want to get that early Sapper invade, not maybe appreciating that No Tomorrow's not that concerned with it because they have the Abathur composition. They get the offlane soak when they would like without the brush stock commitment. So it's not the same trade-off of, hey, we've got the Dahaka, do you want to start these Sappers, as most teams see. And because Abathur's not the solo support, it doesn't have the same skirmish advantages either. So it is, I think, more of a risk here for Freedom, but they're getting a lot of damage here as Jin unable to make his way through that choke, and they pick up the Sappers.
I'm really surprised No Tomorrow was as passive as they are.
I think that was Jin. Well, a lot of that was
getting dragged at the top.
It wasn't so much he was dragged, but he was too stubborn to accept that he wasn't going to make that rotation about 15 seconds ago, and he just needed to go, I'm going to make the safe route, guys. This fight is going to matter. And so because Freedom was able to zone off Jin, they knew there's no jet propulsion, we're good.
We do see the adaptation. This has been one of my favorites since we've seen some of the changes towards Stukov, is that bionic armor, giving you that physical armor when you have that pathogen. When bio kill switch is activated, it's even higher. So Stukov, very good response here to this solo damage Rainer with the Abathur comp.
Nasmus starting this top left. Lutana will get the interrupt here. Jin has no business winning that trade. So it's how much can they make happen down here. Akafe's going to get get silence there. Actually, Thompson now in a bad spot, going to get the drag back. Pops a passive there, but I don't think it's going to matter as the body blocks from Freedom are too real. Great use there of the Abathur, or excuse me, of the brush shock in the Dahaka. And now Freedom should get the upper hand.
Team Freedom possibly could make it up here in time if they wanted to contest. But because so many resources are now committed by No Tomorrow, instead Team Freedom has an advantage in the bot lane, getting some early siege damage down, not just the fort wall, but now Sappers from here on out will threaten to take control of that bottom lane.
It's a difficult position to be in. A lot of control there for not necessarily being kind of forced, I feel like, there by Team Freedom, and that success over the brush stock rotation was very, very swift. And I think that's a lot of what I was talking about before with them when they can get in control with things like the wave clear advantage and having things like the Dahaka. The initiations look a lot more swift and clean there from the team. But until No Tomorrow is able to pick up the 7, which they just now are rounding, Abathur will be able to go into the Mule to help over that bottom lane control, which is the choice.
Oh, nice stun, nice lurking arm. The body blocks are there. Zugra getting back into position to block that south. Team Freedom, excellent execution. Zugra with the jump in and the stun and the excellent swift strike beyond that to get just to the other side. You get the swift strike of the heart value. Body blocks the lurking arm. Very well executed by the gank squad of Team Freedom.
Might be something that will change as the game moves on. Still 7 more globes needed there for Jin to have the opportunity to go unstoppable. That being said, in the last game, we did have that from him, and very few chances did we actually see him pre-use Pyromania to stop, for instance, a Shadow Charge or anything. So it'd be interesting to see if that can change the outcome, because now that's the second time there's been a pretty successful gank from Freedom onto Jin, getting that offlane soak.
You do see the extra range at level 7 on that weighted pustule. We also have Seeker, which is that noise we just heard. Seeker's been gone for so long. Started to come in as a Sergeant Hammer counter, but now we're seeing it in a more general use.
Yeah.
I've wondered oftentimes, because Calamity is great, and when you get one reset, you get another, it's lights out, game over, we win the team fight. But there's been so many times where the same way we don't see that many unstoppable uses from Pyromania with that. This is a very different story when we look at a shorter cooldown with Calamity and your blink in. But there's been times where I see Li Ming players very rarely ever blink in aggressively. It's just that you look for that one shot that you have to take. Here, you have multiple chances to get value out of Seeker.
It is interesting, and it's, I think, of this composition more justified than we see normally, purely based on the, we already have somebody to go in and execute. I think that's the biggest problem most of the time when you have the Li Ming, and you're like, if I'm poking everybody, who's going to be the person confirming my resets?
Yeah.
Genji is the answer to that question in this type of composition. Akafe's going to get Stormbolt with the lurking arm down.
Just like that.
Sets up the reset there. And that, yeah, that's a perfect example, is nobody normally gets the follow-up, but look at Lutano, Swift strikes in, sets up the reset, and now both of them become empowered heroes, where in the past that wouldn't be the case. Iron Skin already forced, Casanova hits the 4-man condemn, pretty big blind, massive shove already going to be dropped through. Jin, oh, look at Nasmus, they should know that he's flanking there. Throw down the pre-mule, Nasmus just walks his way out.
As long as that mule is there. The Sappers were very well dealt with by No Tomorrow. Level 10 now picked up. So Team Freedom, they're going to back away knowing that the clone is available for No Tomorrow, but it's double altar phase, and it's neutral sides for both teams on the defensive side. Imagine we'll see a trade here.
I also did not expect to see Stay a While and Listen picked up this game. And the main reason for that is, J-How, pretty much everybody on Team Freedom, the minute I start channeling that, if I miss one person, they have a huge combo kill potential into me. So there's a lot of pressure now onto Octaface with that selection to go with the Stay a While and Listen. I think the thought process is a lot of what I was talking about before. If you have the Blaze and the Johanna, it's a little bit more difficult to force those initiations when Raynor is your only backliner, especially if you have an Abathur composition. Double Raynor is not going to get that or force that advantage and force that team fight as hard as you maybe would like. Stay a while, you drop that, you drop the clone, you get the fight.
We did get the trade-off there for the altar phase, but Team Freedom still finds themselves up. 8 shots here on the core. No major advantages. That Mule has definitely had value in the bottom right portion of our map for No Tomorrow, but it's always an imminent threat whenever we see 1 to 2 kills in favor of Team Freedom that they can make that. No Tomorrow, they're trying to get a few of their own.
Yeah, Blessed Shield ended up landing an isolation miss. Stay a while and Listen's gonna lock down 2. There's the, oh, not first kill. X-Strike actually lets Lutana get out with the Swift Strike. Great job there by Team Freedom to be able to retreat from that. Cyber Agility was interrupted with the Blessed Shield crowd control. I thought that was the beginning of the end, but Freedom hold on. And that's not something that their composition is necessarily the best at. They're really good at starting the fight and ending it when they're the ones initiating, but responding to force fights, not so good there, but they clutched it out.
30 seconds until our next altar phase. Sappers picked up by Team Freedom. That should be easy to deal with here for No Tomorrow, as it's right next to the altar phase. Still need 13 for No Tomorrow. They have Blaze in the top lane. Abathur trying to get the hat soak in. Should conceivably have enough poke between the Johanna and the Deckard. But Zugrug is already anticipating maybe some poke flank here. As you can see on the mini-map, he's primed and ready.
Yoda Bertha to Disintegrate to worry about the clear. We'll see if somehow over that 30 seconds, if maybe that's an interrupt they would need. Doesn't look like it's going to be the case, as they're just constantly being the one forcing No Tomorrow. No Tomorrow now found something. Jin.
There's some good use of that.
Yeah, finally
Pyromania.
Got the Pyromania self-cleanse there, is why Zugrug didn't use that Stormbolt and try and set that up. Without picking up globes, though, he's going to have to wait a while for that to come back.
Well, bought them 13. Casanova will move in. There's another blind with a stun follow-up. Swift strike there. Iron Skin used to walk away. Collusion not using that lurking arm just yet. Mind you, we also have Glass Cannon for Li Ming and the armor reduction from Dahaka on his Dart Swarm. If they get a combo of the same nature we saw earlier, it is more lethal now than it was before.
It very much is. There's the brush shot coming from behind. Octaface is going to be under pressure in a moment, and they already get the kill there onto Blaze before anything matters. Octaface tried to get the Stay a While and Listen, but it's too little too late. Yoda, though, meanwhile, is going to be died by No Tomorrow. So far, 2-for-1 trade in favor of Team Freedom. As Lutano gets the Swift Strike through, clears out that Abathur clone. Casanova and Tomster retreat out, is now Collusion. Picks up 4 shots here for Freedom.
Glass Cannon showing its effect there. It's Li Ming, when you have less health, it's harder to live. Nice recognition by No Tomorrow to at least trade out there. You mentioned it earlier that when Stay a While and Listen is used,
I stay a while and listen too.
You stay a while and, well, some of the members of Team Freedom were like, that's nice, we'll just hang out here with you. That's where the Deckard kill came in.
Normally it wouldn't be that concerning if it wasn't for legitimately all 5 heroes have a very good punishment to a hero standing still like that. Li Ming, Seeker combo, one-shots you. Genji, Swift Strike, Shuriken build at 13, pretty much one-shots you. Stukov, Lurking Arm combo, silences you for long periods of time. Murden, Stormbolt, Rewind, one-shots you. Dahaka, Isolation, Drag. It just, I mean, do you need a longer list? I think I got it all.
Well, Collusion, first casualty of this skirmish. Nice initiation there by No Tomorrow. They do find themselves down 1 level, but with that kill, that gives them the control over the rest of the map. It's also going to allow them to go in and invade this camp and steal the Sapper camp away from Team Freedom.
They get it. Double Sapper pressure on bottom. Now this is the moment. No Tomorrow needs to use this to get macro pressure into their control. We talked about some of the problems if they get this bottom bell tower conversion into their favor. They don't have a Hyperion or anything to force really that well. And with Seeker, one thing we do not talk about too much is Seeker being one of the best anti-siege tools in the game, especially post-16 with Mirror Ball. Puppy chunks.
Stukov changes to the lurking armor there, but silences Sappers. Fortunately, he was the one that died there. Triple altar phase, 16 right around the corner for No Tomorrow. Should be in a similar situation to what we saw before, to where they can contest, at least momentarily. That's a lot of damage from that level 7.
Crossfire, boys. I'm currently obsessed with the talent. 3-man scroll ceiling here for Akka. Collusion's going to start the channel. He has no Heroic Cube to get that interrupt. Drag lands before the Iron Skin comes through. Stormbolt as well. There's the Secret damage. Isolation lands. Thompson ends up using the Penetrate around. Jet Propulsion comes in from the flank, and there's the Stay a While and Listen as the Lurking Arm interrupts that. Collusion doing work. Casanova gets in. He's very low. X-Strike drops, gets the damage onto the bunker. Iron Skin comes through, but Reynard there has enough damage to get the pick onto Genji. Somehow No Tomorrow turns that fight around.
I can't believe Casanova survived in that. They did lose the altar, but they got the kill. Did No Tomorrow. That's just a clone. No Tomorrow finds himself in the same situation that they were in just moments before this all started. The potential to take control of that bot lane, but with no sappers available, they'll move up to take the boss.
15 seconds out from Genji. Already going to be starting. Nobody by Team Freedom seem to be making even close to rotation there. Zugrug worry about Soak on top. This is an interesting choice, J-Hop. This to me is No Tomorrow removing a potential lethal condition from Team Freedom more than it is them being proactive. I can't help but feel like in the long run, getting that macro control from them would have been more successful, but I think this does remove, it gives them one more team fight where they can struggle, and Freedom can't end the game immediately.
I felt that's what you were going to say the minute I heard it, and I saw that, and I 100% agree with you. So they do get that taken away. It's double altar phase, and you mentioned that because if Team Freedom were to take a decisive team fight here, it'd be double altar phase, boss, game over.
Yeah.
So for No Tomorrow, they buy time, see if they can turn it around by taking team fight. Zugrug.
Not all committing to that skirmish, and then Jin showing that information was a really big setback to that possible kind of trap set up here by No Tomorrow. 5 seconds out. Dahakas wait for that brush stock. He's been coming through that top right shrub where you see Akaface and Thompson every single time over this middle, but he actually brush stocks down below, picks up bottom altar. Akaface going to try and channel through mid, but Collusion gets first interrupt. Zugrug looks for interrupt 2. Not going to even need to burn the Stormbolt for that one, because Jay Shrite, he clones.
Oh, the Arcane Orb did manage to hit there, so now you see the pings onto Akaface. X-Strike comes down, that will confirm the kill. The follow-up is there. Thompson and team, they're trying to return fire as the Rainer holds strong. Zugrug forced the Dwarf Toss out, trying to save Collusion.
Yeah, Jay Shrite is getting a lot of damage, though, with that clone. Completely ignored the entire fight. Jin gets out of the bunker now, trying to get damage onto Lutano. Collusion.
Oh, my.
They get the pick there onto Jin. And now Team Freedom have 2-man advantage, can start the altar. These 4 shots set the core. No Tomorrow down to 4 HP. Iron Skin used. Wait till that goes down in 3, 2. Not going to throw the Stormbolt. Just made it barely out of range there, as you saw the Law of Hope use from Casanova to keep alive.
They were using Rainer's Raider to hop over that wall in the middle for the interrupt. With 2 members down, there's only so much stalling you can do. Team Freedom has been unsuccessful taking down this bottom bell tower. They'll have another crack at it here. They have sappers moving forward. The power level has obviously scaled here for Team Freedom, yet they're not going to commit just yet towards that push.
With that, No Tomorrow is going to get the clear.
They're just going to play 20, it feels like.
It does feel like that is the case. And normally you could be like, you know, could you have gotten a little bit more out of this? But when your win condition is a 4% HP, like because Towers functions in such a funky way, it's one of the few battlegrounds which Abathur just getting bodied there by Lutano. See you, nerd.
Lutano didn't leave a spray.
Yeah, we got to have a conversation with him after that one, because
like when you snipe an Abathur, you got to let him know.
Establish dominance on your territory the same way Freedom's looking to make that happen on mid. Unstoppable use buys the drag and the lurking arm lockdown from Collusion.
Nicely done there. Casanova walks forward, makes sure and eats that Arcane Orb. 20 now here for Team Freedom. feels like they could make their mark on this. If they do take the bottom, as the Rainer's Raider falls as well, they take this bottom bell tower, the next altar phase, double altar phase, we already saw it sneak in once. No Tomorrow's got to be quick everywhere they go, and they're going to have to be split. That's the hard part.
Asif shove out to try and help escort. Condemn coming through. All the focus onto the sappers. That's going to be easy clear, but look at that positioning of Lutano. One channel is all it's going to take. Middle seems to be the focus for now. Dahaka starts the bottom. Jin's going to look for the interrupt there. That's a 1-4 split for both teams. Lutano moves forward.
Oh, Bless Shield missed. Bless Shield missed. See as they hold.
Oh
my goodness.
Baby, there's the Stormbolt one-shot. And Rainer's out of here. That's all damage there as Jay Shrite is just a clone. Bottom still being dealt with. Jin in the 1v1 versus Dahaka. But it's just a matter of time at this point in time. Is Casanova trying to stall out? Jin doing his best down below as well. But there is the combo out from Yoda. Collusion starts the channel. And that is going to be GG as 4 shots launch at the core of No Tomorrow. And Freedom take a lead 2-1 in this series.
Yoda showing why he's one of the most respected Li-Ming players we have, not just in North America, but the world. Seeker's back, not just against Sergeant Hammer, but we get it here finally in a different light. I'm happy it's back. That sound is so satisfying, and when you get kills like you did there at the end, it's even more gratifying.
I definitely like the satisfying audio of it, and definitely the adjustments there towards the Li-Ming. I'm still torn on whether or not I like it in the standard use here, but talking about it already, you know, with the Genji in this type of composition, I think it does make more sense than we see, you know, in other cases here. But I do like the fact that we get it. I'm still sad that we haven't made Infinite Archon on Siege Battlegrounds like that, the standard at 20, because I'm waiting for the day that's a thing, and we just go, hey, Li-Ming post 20, the game's over, because, man, that thing is wild.
I do wonder going forward, I think it's next patch, I think it's maybe week 10, we're on the Mephisto patch, which has the dynamic spell power now there, which makes Talrash's even more terrifying.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I am curious if we will ever see that. Ever since we saw it at the Eastern Clash, it definitely seems like there is a spot for it.
Yeah.
Just not here.
No, it is like one of those talents that we've seen bits and pieces throughout all of competitive heroes. There's been that, oh, in this type of situation, we need to siege. I'm going to go and get that commitment to it. But Towers is one of the few because the conversion of the bell towers back and forth, you can rely on Li-Ming just going, wait, I can safely siege in this type of circumstance. And suddenly what becomes like the, oh, my Dahaka is awfully and pushing. You're like, wait a minute, Li-Ming didn't commit to the fight, and that bell tower is easily converted over. It's a very fast damage, too. I like it a lot.
Well, Dreadnought, we have Team Freedom. They went back to less all-in, but still more of the aggressive type. It worked out for them here in game number 3. They take a 2-1 lead over No Tomorrow. No Tomorrow had a decent draft. The clone on the Rainer, it doesn't feel the same high impact that I'm used to seeing with the standard Abathurs. And it's so few and far between now that we see a healer with an Abathur.
Yeah.
It felt like they might have been lacking some punch to that clone target.
I think that's fair. I don't know if I would put all the responsibility onto that, but I definitely think that there is an element of that where you go, huh, you know, like, is that really the tool necessary? But there were moments where, like, even in the later stages fight where you would see the clone on the Rainer, they ignored Rainer clones so heavily that I actually think the only reason the fight looked close was because the Rainer clone got to do what it was supposed to do. And I think that that's not something that you could rely on when you pick that draft. That was one of my biggest cruxes, is between Bunker, a weak engage like Johanna, how are you going to force those fights with an Abathur clone? They ended up getting moments of it, but it felt like it was only the ones Freedom were willing to commit to. But Freedom's only willing to commit to long fights that they're probably already winning.
Well, we saw the heavy skirmish on Battlefield of Eternity work in No Tomorrow's favor. Towers of Doom does have a lot of skirmishing, a lot of team fights. I'm curious now if No Tomorrow opts to pick a battleground, or whether they're fine with Team Freedom taking them somewhere. Sky Temple is still a map in our hero pool that's available. And Sky Temple and Team Freedom, and watching Team Freedom just kind of dance around the map, and you're a No Tomorrow team chasing them, and you're always 2 to 3 steps behind. This next battleground, I think, is going to be very important for No Tomorrow. If they get put on a map like that, I think they might struggle. And I really like what they bring in the team fighting capabilities.
No, I agree with you. I think it is going to be difficult if they see things like the Sky Temple because of that top rotation and the pressure applied there and how fast it can snowball. The Towers is a map where you can get that kind of recovery, and we saw it be difficult even on the last Battleground, right? So why should we expect that to come to light even on a Battleground like Sky Temple? So I agree with you. Something, I don't know, a little less clear on the laning situation seemed to be the best, because that's when Team Freedom maybe panics the most and No Tomorrow gets the upper hand there.
How about one with a decisive solo laner?
I'm down.
Well, it's Dragonshire. You've got a decisive solo laner here. Team Freedom will be the team taking us to Dragonshire. No Tomorrow Dreadnought in the early part of Phase 2. They tried their hand at a double global. They've changed drafters. They've changed roles since then. But they did run a Dahaka Falstad. It looked fairly decent against Tempo. Tempo had a very good late game push. But the next time No Tomorrow ran it, they did pick up a win on Dragonshire. We haven't necessarily seen that style of play since then. But it's always something that if they go back to something that worked before, this is a map that caters to a global. If you can play it correctly, a double global, sometimes too much of a good thing, but they have played it well in the past.
Yeah, I think the double global is too much of a good thing. It's probably the best way. And it's not the double global that's too good. It's just that one of those globals you're hinting at is health pool is too low to really be a reliable global, whether that be the Falstad or the Brightwing. That was a good one. But